Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I build my roller coasters in Planet Coaster 2. And I do this by using a method called heartlining. Now, if you're unfamiliar with heartlining is the idea that the track will bank around a rider's heart. Now, it might sound confusing at first, but if you look at this train here, you can see how the track will somewhat be shaped around a rider's heart rather than just banking off of itself. And I'll explain this a bit in more depth later, in the very later parts of the video, but I do want to show y'all how to make roller coasters smooth, and to do that I have to explain heartlining. So let's kind of get more into it. See how the track here forms this interesting angle rather than going straight this way and curving. It kind of banks off to the side here. Okay, that's heartline in a prime example right there. That is to make forces a little more easy on the human body, and it's also what makes roller coasters really smooth and realistic. So I'm going to show y'all how to do that, and here's another example of a great element that is just a prime example of heartlining. It's where barrel rolls and inversions come to play. Watch the middle here. See how the heart line, or the heart of the rider, stays almost the exact same spot through the entire element? That is heartlining in its finest. So I'm going to show y'all how I build my roller coasters, like this wooden roller coaster, and I'm going to show y'all how to smooth it to where y'all can get that nice smooth heartlining. So let's first go to the coaster tab here, go to create customs. So the coaster type I'm going to choose is the Eurofighter here, and that's because I want it to have a launch so I can explain this topic just with more ease. So I'm just going to add a quick little launch here to get it up to speed, and then a straight section. Now, to add heartlining to your coaster, you have to use this banking offset option here. Now, first, before I get to that, I do want to show you what heartlining isn't. So what heartlining isn't is where you just bank a roller coaster solely like this. So let's just say I wanted to make a barrel roll, and I completely bank my roller coaster a whole 360 degrees off of the launch here, and that is the finished barrel roll. So let me go ahead and smooth this. So go to edit mode and select everything that I have. Select everything that I have and smooth it real quick. Boom, maybe twice, and then go up and down a couple times with the forward smooth method, and then backwards forward smooth. And that's what I would call a done barrel roll, right? So let's go ahead and test it and see what this looks like on ride camera. I'm going to go to bumper camera so it's even a bit smoother. Okay, so do y'all notice something wrong with that? You might notice that it does not look like a barrel roll. It looks rather strange, actually, because what's happening here is the roller coaster train is actually banking around the track. And if you remember what I said around heartlining, heartlining is where the track banks around the train. So this is where all the inconsistency happens, and this is where your elements, if you're making them, they start to turn out rather, not necessarily unsmooth, but they have a weird like rattle or just shaping to them in general. This is why. It's because there is no heartlining. And also, this type of element without heartlining really isn't used that much. There are very few roller coaster types that use this sort of way. It's only really used in wing coasters because of their super wide span, because they can't fit inside a heartline. But the reason people don't use heartlining like this is because there are so many forces that are put onto the train here that it's actually incredible that people actually used them back then. So heartlining wasn't a thing back then when they used to make old wooden roller coasters and things like that. But heartlining is a very new idea. So what is heartlining? Well, first let me delete this existing element. Actually, I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to make a whole new ride so I can compare it to this one. So let's go ahead with the launch. I did 2 launch pieces and then a straight section here. Okay. Now the first thing that I want to go ahead and do is use the smallest piece possible. This is as far back as you can get your measurement tool. Now, keep in mind, this is only for the banked elements, for heartlined elements. So if you might be annoyed with having to build like a roller coaster with all of these small track pieces, don't worry about it, because when you're doing drops and up and down motions without any banking, you can use as big of pieces as you want. This is just solely for heartlining. Now, how do you add heartlining? I'm going to go ahead and place this so I have a buffer piece there. Like I said, we're going to mess with the banking offset. Now, watch what happens on a normal bank piece with no banking offset. I'm just going to bank the track piece here, and as you can see, the action of rotation happens right here in the middle of the track piece. It banks around this sort of white bar right here in the middle. But if I add some banking offset, let's just say 1 or 2 feet, you can see that axis changes a lot and very quickly. That is because the track is no longer banking around this center point in the rails. It's banking off of a higher point up here. So the higher you move this banking offset, the higher that point of rotation goes up. As compared to here, then we can move it down to here, and you can just see how everything goes like that. And even negative banking offsets, this is how you make heartlining roller coasters for an inverted coaster, so one that hangs. But we're making a stand-up here, so, or not a stand-up, a sit-down. So we're going to use the positive banking offset. But yeah, it's very simple. The point of rotation just goes up as soon as you move this scroll wheel up. And I like to put it around, I guess, 5 to 4 feet, depending on what type of track you're building. Let's stick with 5 feet right now since we're building a barrel roll. I do want to emphasize the fact that this is going to look really bad at first. When you're making this element, it's going to look rather strange because just because of the Planet Coaster 2 roller coaster builder, things look a little strange. So to make a really good looking heartline element or a barrel roll, let's just say for this example, I'm actually going to go ahead and use a set degree. And what I mean by that is you can go in and use your banking, sorry, not your banking off, your angle snap, so you can get a set number, or you can just look at the numbers. I'm going to use the angle snap and go through this. So I'm going to start making the barrel roll, and to do that, I'm going to go and let's just say I'm going to bank this a 45 degree bank for every single track piece. So I'm going to place that, bank this another 45 degrees, which is going to end up being 90. Then again, another 45 degrees, 45. As you can see, you're beginning to see the shaping take form here. It's forming this very intricate looking element. And when we finish, you can easily see that this looks completely different than this element. And I would say a bit more realistic too. So let me build a few buffer pieces there. And we're going to go ahead and test this just to see what it looks like. So we're going to launch here. And obviously, it's very rough, and it's very interesting looking because it has no smoothing. That is one of the differences between building with heartlining and without heartlining. Whenever you're building just with raw, no heartlining, it's actually going to turn out smoother without smoothing. But once you smooth it, this option, the heartline option, is actually going to be the smoother option. So, how do you smooth this thing to the best? You go into edit mode, of course, and the first thing I like to do is select everything that's not a, or I guess a better way of saying it, select everything that is a banked piece. So see this piece right here, it's not banked. So we're going to only select the pieces that are banked. So only these. And I'm going to crank my smoothing power up rather high. I'm going to go to a 7. And this is just to fix all the kinks in the track. It shouldn't remove too much heartlining, but be careful to crank it all the way up, because the more you crank it up, the more heartlining you're going to remove, and the more heartlining you're going to remove, the more it's going to end up looking like this. So you have to pay attention to what you're doing with the smoothing. I'm going to stick with 7, and I'm going to smooth it just with no direction at all. I'm just going to smooth it plain like this 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Now immediately you're going to be able to see, let me select this piece so you can see that it looks a lot smoother now, and we have this nice fluent looking element. So the last step to this process is to select 4 track pieces. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to use the forward option here, and we're going to move our smooth strength down just a little bit. You don't have to follow my numbers exactly here. It's just the idea to get across. I like to do a lower number than what I started with. So I'm going to actually do 5 smooth strength here. And smooth forward, make sure you have all 4 pieces selected. That's because with 4 meter pieces, or I guess 13-foot pieces, it works the best. So we're going to smooth forward all the way. Oh yeah, and start on the flat element. So include this and include the flat element. And then once you get to the end of that flat element, we're going to reverse it, go backwards now, all the way back to the start where we began, and do it again a few times, just to make everything look a little bit more smooth. And I'm going to actually do it 2 more times. In Planet Coaster 1, you had to do this 4 times to get everything perfect, but Planet Coaster 2 actually has a much better, smoother and roller coaster builder just in general. So, okay, that is 4 passes, and as you can see now, we have a pretty smooth element. Okay, now the final step is to take what you did and just divide it by half, and even the smooth strength can go all the way up to 10 now because it's such small pieces. So you're going to use 2 pieces here, and we're just going to do the same thing, smooth forward. This actually makes the ride really smooth, and you'll begin to see once we do the POV here in a minute. I'm going to do, again, 4 passes real quick here, and go backwards now. So I'm halfway through. Boom, go through it again. Oops, I forgot. You always want to make sure that that none option is not selected because it actually will screw over your shaping. Okay, let's go forwards now. Okay, cool. And then backwards, of course. And then 1 more, I believe. Okay, so now that you're done smoothing your heartlined element, let's go ahead and ride. Actually, let's ride this one first so we can compare it to the new one. So, of course, go to bumper view, which is always the smoothest view here, and we're going to ride it. As you can see, there is some unrealistic feeling to that, but it's actually fairly smooth there. Now, if we do this one, the one we just made with heartlining, let's go ahead and ride it. Of course, go to bumper view, and you'll immediately begin to see a difference. It is a night and day difference between the two on which one is better. This is obviously way more realistic, and this one is very forceful. So I will say, if you are trying to make a very forceful roller coaster, build this one with no heartlining, because you are going to create a roller coaster that terrifies people. It just looks so weird. I can't get used to this. I'm used to seeing this so much more than seeing this, so just watching this one is funny to me. But yeah, this is a night and day difference. It's much smoother, much more glossy, much more realistic. Everything about this design is so much better than this design. So yeah, that is how to make better roller coasters in Planet Coaster 2, and how to add heartlining to your roller coaster. And I think that if you are interested in upping your kind of quality of roller coasters, this is what you have to do. You have to use the banking offset here. And I'll just kind of recap. So you start with smoothing everything, the full entire element, and smooth that with like 7 to 6 to 8 power, and then you come back, do the 4 smooth back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then do the 2 smooth with more power, as much power as you can go, to smooth all the kinks out back and forth. And that's how you do it. It might take a little longer than smoothing this thing, but I'm telling you, it's so much more worth it. So yeah, that is how I do it, and I hope that y'all begin to do that as well. I hope y'all also enjoyed this video and learned something from it. Let's actually go back to this roller coaster over here. You might be able to see it more. The more you do heartlining, the more your eye becomes adjusted to it and begins to see it. As you can see, there is heartlining there galore. And then, of course, over here, Here's another look at a barrel roll. That is an insane looking barrel roll because it starts banking this way and then undoes like that. So yeah, that is how you make heartlining and how you add heartlining to your roller coasters. Appreciate y'all watching. I hope y'all learned a lot. If y'all want to see more videos like this on how to build better roller coasters, maybe how to make better coaster layouts and everything like that, go ahead and comment that below and maybe even subscribe to the channel, because I am down to doing stuff like that. These videos are super simple to make, and I would say I like to talk about this sort of stuff. So yeah, if y'all are interested in that sort of stuff, leave a comment below, and I hope y'all enjoyed. Have a fantastic day, and I will catch y'all later. Peace.
You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. You see the drippy, I'm fitted up. Hop in my car and the giddy up. Secure the bag, yeah, I get the bus. Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.